Every village has a story. Some become songs, others become legends. But there are villages where the stories are neither music nor myth, because they're still happening. Kurtepe is a small, quiet village in the heart of Anatolia. Not many come,
Not many go.
but one morning, the village headman, Haki, vanishes without a trace. No struggle, no blood, no witnesses, only an empty chair and an old stone well in the center of the square. Police came, so did the gendarmerie, but no matter how deep they looked, all they saw was the same thing: nothing. This isn't just a missing person case. This is not the disappearance of a man. It's the disappearance of a truth. And sometimes, some places exist only for one purpose: to make people disappear. The villagers saw Haki at the coffee house every morning. Haki would sit at the same table, at the same time, sipping his tea. But that morning, his table was empty. Haki had been the first to arrive at the coffee house every day for years, without fail. When the villagers didn't see him, they sensed something might be wrong. A few of them went to his house and knocked on the door, but no one answered. The house was silent. That same morning, Shepherd Hussein was out with his goats, passing by the old stone well in the center of the village. And he noticed something strange: a pair of shoes neatly placed by the edge of the well. But no one was around, no owner in sight. The police came, the gendarmerie arrived. They lowered a rope into the well. But there was no body, no sound, not even an echo. It was as if the well was endless. The night after the village headman disappeared, strange things began happening in the village. Strange howling sounds began echoing from the forest that surrounded the village. No one could tell where they were coming from. It was as if someone, or something, was screaming without knowing how to shape its voice. The wind that night was unlike anything before, sudden, violent, and roaring. It didn't just shake the trees. It ripped through rooftops and slammed curtains against the windows, but it had no direction. It wasn't coming from somewhere. It was hitting from everywhere at once. In the barns, the animals had gone mad. Cows, goats, cried out all night without stopping, kicking, thrashing, trying to break free from their chains. Their eyes were bloodshot, as if they had seen something, but no one knew what. And the strangest part, around midnight, a few villagers claimed to see tall, shadowy figures in black cloaks walking past certain homes. Some said they passed like shadows. Others whispered, "I looked straight into its face, but it had no eyes." No footsteps were heard, no voices. They were never heard, only seen. And they didn't vanish until morning. The next morning, the gendarmerie teams returned to the village. What had happened the night before hung over the village like a dark shroud. The commander began questioning the villagers one by one. Most were elderly, exhausted, consumed by fear. Some said they heard strange sounds. Others just whispered prayers and claimed to have seen nothing. But one of them, Old Mehmet, spoke while trembling. "I swear, Commander, something dark passed in front of my house. It looked like a shadow, but it wasn't human. It was tall, very tall." Another, Hadis, spoke through tears. "It came near the window. It looked inside, but it had no eyes. How does something without eyes look at you?" There was only darkness. The commander took notes, but his face was grim. He knew none of this could go into an official report. Still, one name remained: Grandma Emine. They walked to her home. She was already there, sitting on a stone stool, a black veil over her head, prayer beads in her hands. The commander knelt down and asked gently, "Grandma, what did you see that night?" Old Emine didn't lift her head. Her eyes were cloudy, her voice weak but clear. I didn't look, because they don't like to be seen. But you hear them. No footsteps. They come with the wind. The goats see them first. Then your eyes start to burn. And if they whisper your name, don't turn around, my child. Commander, who are they, Grandma? Who are you talking about? Emine slowly raised her eyes and stared at his forehead. They were the ones who dug the first well in this village. Not for water. They dug to go down. Haki went down too. So did my son. And now, they're waiting for another. The mouth of the well is open, and it won't close again. The commander fell silent. Everyone did. That same afternoon, a decision was made in the village square. The commander decided to assign a night guard by the well for the villagers' safety. A young private had just joined the unit. His name was Private Cihan. He volunteered. "I'm not afraid, sir. I can stay for a few nights. If anything happens, I'll report it over the radio," he said. As the sun set, Private Cihan sat down on a bench beside the old well, holding his rifle and radio. The air was cold, but the sky was clear. The moon was high. There was no one around. The village was silent. But as the hours passed, the air grew heavier. A low hum began circling the well. There was no wind, yet it felt like something was moving around him. His radio crackled. Then went completely silent. Private Cihan stood up and leaned over the well. He narrowed his eyes and muttered, "Is someone down there?" But there was no reply. Only a deep guttural breathing sound rising from the well. Half human, half beast. Private Cihan leaned closer over the well, trying to make sense of the sounds. Suddenly, a dark, burned face appeared from the depths and pulled him inside. By morning, the night guard at the well, Private Cihan, was gone. Only his rifle was found near the edge of the well, along with a trail of footprints in the dirt. The prints led straight to the well, but there were no returning steps. The commander gathered the villagers once more. This was no longer just a disappearance. A state officer had vanished, armed, in the middle of the night. The incident was reported to higher authorities, and 3 days later, a new team arrived in the village. They were physicists. They had come with special permission from the university to study the well. They brought equipment, vibration sensors, thermal cameras, ground-penetrating radars. Drones and heat detectors scanned the interior of the well, but no signal was found. Nothing. As if the well didn't belong to this world. People began abandoning the village. One night, one of the last young men remaining in the village secretly recorded a video on his phone. And in that video, a face was looking up from the bottom of the well. It wasn't human. Eyes as large as a deer's, but no eyelids, and its face completely burned. The next morning, Grandma Emine was found dead in her home. After that night, the village was completely evacuated. Kurtepe was wiped off the map. All access to the area was sealed. Inside Emine 9's home, the gendarmerie found a note. On a single page, written in trembling handwriting, "I thought demons took my son, but the truth was worse. The well is a passage. It calls to people, and once it calls, you cannot resist. I no longer try to climb out. I only look upward, not to escape, but to call you. The case remains unsolved. File code, the well unknown perpetrator." The final sentence in the police report reads, "No evidence of murder. Cause of disappearance unknown, but the well never closed."